Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a story of intense light and incredibly deep shadows. It's an ancient text that honestly feels way less like a dry historical account and more like a massive, cinematic, epic fantasy. We're talking cosmic judgment, terrified fathers, mysterious heavenly beings, and a single, radiant beacon of human hope. Let's get right into it. Picture this for a second. You're in a dark, rustic, ancient room, right? It's lit by just a few flickering candles. Suddenly, that dim, warm glow is completely overpowered by a blinding, supernatural radiance. The source text literally says, "And when he opened his eyes, he lighted up the whole house like the sun, and the whole house was very bright." So, yeah, this is definitely no ordinary birth, and this is absolutely not your average newborn. Scene 1. The miraculous birth. This is the inciting incident of a massive saga. Methuselah's son, a man named Lamech, has just welcomed a baby boy into the world, but this joyous, everyday occasion instantly turns into something totally otherworldly. Okay, let's dive into this stark contrast because it's wild. On one side, we have what we'd all naturally expect, right? A normal newborn, crying, fragile, very earthly. But on the other side, we have this radiant child described in the ancient text. His body is literally white as snow and red as a blooming rose. His hair is long and white as wool. And the most shocking part, right out of the midwife's hands, he sits up, opens his mouth, and just starts conversing with the Lord of Righteousness. I mean, wow. Which brings us to scene 2, Lamech's terror. Because you really have to put yourself in the father's shoes here. Lamech doesn't react with awe or, quiet reverence. He reacts with absolute, unadulterated panic. Trembling, shielding his eyes from this blinding golden light, he just runs. He flees the room, plunging into a dusty village under a starry, pitch-black night to find his own father, Methuselah. Look at this quote from the text. It perfectly captures his dread. "I have begotten a strange son, diverse from and unlike man. His nature is different, and he is not like us." Lamech is utterly convinced this child is not human. He actually believes his son has sprung from the Watchers, those mysterious angels of heaven. And that forces us to ask a really profound question right alongside him. Is this radiant child a savior or a harbinger of doom? Lamech literally fears that in his son's days, a terrible wonder, like a massive catastrophic event, is going to be wrought upon the earth. It taps directly into that universal, chilling fear of the unknown, right before the narrative shifts to an incredibly massive, global scale. Scene 3. Journey to the ends of the earth. The frantic energy of a terrified father is about to give way to the slow, epic march of an ancient patriarch. Now, what's really interesting here is how we can trace this panic straight up the family tree. You see Lamech down at the bottom. When he panics, he goes to his father, Methuselah. But Methuselah doesn't have the answers either, so he has to go up yet another generation, seeking out his father, the ancient prophet Enoch. Enoch describes it so simply. "He came to me, to the ends of the earth." But just imagine that epic journey for a second. An elderly Methuselah walking completely alone across these vast, surreal landscapes, pushing through deep, misty shadows, past towering, jagged mountains, reaching the literal edges of the earth, right where the blinding light of the heavens meets the horizon, all to search for the one man who dwells amongst the angels. Scene 4. Consulting the prophet Enoch. Methuselah finally arrives. He cries aloud, and Enoch appears in this realm of ethereal, divine light. And with immense anxiety, Methuselah presents this disturbing vision: a child whiter than snow, eyes like the sun, and a father utterly terrified of heavenly interference. To truly understand the stakes, we need to clarify exactly what Lamech was so afraid of. He feared the angels of heaven. In this ancient text, these are spiritual beings whose nature is entirely different from mankind. Lamech was terrified that these divine beings had somehow crossed the boundary into the mortal world, corrupting his bloodline. But Enoch, he is entirely undisturbed. He listens to the panic tale, and his face is filled with sorrow for the world, sure, but he has absolute certainty about this child. He responds with this booming, chilling calm. "The Lord will do a new thing on the earth, and this I have already seen in a vision." Enoch already knows. He isn't surprised at all, and his calming presence begins to unfold a terrifying cosmic truth. Scene 5. Prophecy of the Flood. This is where the story suddenly explodes outward. We are no longer dealing with a localized family mystery. We are now staring down the barrel of a catastrophic global apocalypse. Enoch reveals to Methuselah that Lamech's fears about heavenly boundary crossing aren't entirely unfounded, they're just misdirected. Enoch explains that during the generation of his father, Jared, some angels actually did transgress the word of the Lord. They united with women, and these beings of the Spirit produced something terrifying on earth: giants, born according to the flesh. The world became deeply, deeply corrupted. Let's move to how this builds, because Enoch lays out a devastating sequence of events that is just relentless. First, the angels transgress. Then, the giants are produced, filling the earth with impurity and sin. Because of this, the Lord has decreed a great deluge, a massive flood lasting exactly 1 year, ultimately resulting in the earth being entirely cleansed. Just listen to the inevitable consequences Enoch foresees here. A great punishment, the earth violently cleansed from all impurity, a great destruction over the whole earth, massive sheets of water and fountains of the deep bursting forth, plunging corrupt cities into a terrifying deluge of darkness lasting 1 full year. Everything that corrupted the earth will be completely washed away. Scene 6. A beacon of hope. But then, the apocalyptic storm in Enoch's vision actually begins to clear. The narrative softens, the heavy rushing waters recede, leaving a calm, endless ocean under a breaking rainbow. Enoch tells Methuselah to go back and reassure Lamech. The glowing baby is indeed Lamech's true son, it's no lie. And the number 4 is vital here. So the crucial point is that exactly 4 people from Lamech's immediate line, this miraculous baby and his future 3 children, will be saved from the destruction in a majestic wooden ark. Even in the face of total global annihilation, a tiny remnant is preserved to continue humanity. Enoch gives a specific, incredibly beautiful command: call his name Noah, for he will comfort the earth after all the destruction. Suddenly, that blinding divine light from the baby isn't some monster's glow. It is literally the light of salvation. When Methuselah returns and delivers this news, the divine light becomes soft and warm. You can just imagine Lamech holding his radiant son, finally weeping tears of pure joy and relief. And this brilliantly illustrates the larger cosmic plan Enoch read from the secret heavenly tablets. It's a grand cycle. A generation transgresses, then sin is destroyed. But ultimately, a generation of righteousness arises, and all manner of good comes upon the earth. The flood isn't just a brutal end. It is a painful yet entirely necessary reset for peace and goodness. Which leaves us with this final thought. A tiny, glowing newborn in a dark room ended up being the anchor for all of humanity during its greatest catastrophe. So when the world feels like it's entirely falling apart, where do we look for our own beacon of hope? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating ancient text with me. Keep seeking out those beacons of light, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.